Hi, this is DirtFarmer Maggie from DirtFarmerJ.com. You know, it's springtime pretty soon. The weather's clearing up. It's going to be time to grow those homegrown tomatoes and your own fresh basil. And we love caprese salad, and one of the key ingredients is mozzarella cheese. Today I'm going to show you how to make your own. Okay, so we're going to make a pound of mozzarella cheese, and it takes a gallon of whole milk to make this. So over here in my pan, I've already got a gallon of milk starting to warm, and there's two main ingredients to the mozzarella cheese that are probably something you may or may not have on hand. Everything else you're probably going to already have in your kitchen. One of them is citric acid. And you may be familiar with citric acid if you're a canning person, and if you like to put some citric acid into, with bananas or apples to keep them from turning brown, that kind of thing. So that citric acid is going to disengage the solids from the liquids in the milk, so that then the rennet can curdle it. And rennet is an animal protein. You can't buy this at the grocery store. You'll have to buy it at maybe a brewing store or a cheese making store, or you can just buy it online. And this is what's going to make the curds actually come together and turn into cheese. Everything else is stuff that you have probably already at home, some coarse sea salt, and that's about the end of it. So what I have right here is I have a cup of water that has dissolved 1.5 teaspoons of citric acid in it. So I'm going to go over here and put this into the milk, and then we're going to get the milk heating. This is the longest part of the recipe right here, because you have to take your cold milk all the way up to 90 degrees. And you don't have to stir all the time, but what you want to make sure you do is that you get all the milk heated to 90 degrees, not just the bottom half of the pan. So you have to keep, stirring so that the milk is all the same temperature. I love this digital thermometer. You can buy that online. It's really inexpensive, and it goes Fahrenheit, or you can change it over to Celsius by pushing this button. And you can see that it's going to tell me as I'm raising temperature here. It's really important when you're making cheese that your temperature is exactly precise. You don't want to go over 90 degrees. You don't want to stop at 88. You have to get it exactly to the temperatures that it calls for. So this, with this, the decimal point number there, you can see when you're ramping up and start turning your fire down or whatever, so that you don't go over. Okay, so now I'm going to remove it from the heat. I'm going to add the rennet, which this is the animal protein. It's in 1/4 cup of water. It's 1/4 teaspoon is all you have to put in. And you won't see any change, but I'm going to stir it for 30 seconds. Then I'm going to cover it with a lid and let it sit for 5 minutes, and then you'll see the magic happen. I'm going to put a lid on it, cover it up, and we're going to time it for 5 minutes. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes. We're going to take the lid off here and see what transformation has happened. And you can't see as well as we can live, but wait till I start to cut these curds, and you'll be able to see how much this milk has solidified. The curds in the whey are going to start to separate here. So we're going to turn the heat back on. We're going to start cooking this. You can see how much curdling has happened in that 5 minutes of sitting there. And you can see the yellowish liquid starting to separate out. That's the whey. So if you're old enough to remember the old nursery rhyme about little Miss Muffet who sat on her tuffet, eating her curds and whey, this is what she was eating. Yum, yum, right? So we're going to bring this up to 105 degrees now. Again, being really accurate with the temperature is super important. So patience, patience, patience. Coasting up to 105. Now we're going to remove it from the heat again and stir for another 5 minutes. So we're just about, we have 1 more minute of stirring to do here, and you can see the enormous amount of whey that has come out and separated from the curd. This whey is something that you can use. You can use it for cooking. You can put it in your soup stock. You can use it to boil potatoes. It's a protein. It's a good protein. It doesn't have much of a taste. It tastes slightly a little bit salty and just sort of meaty taste. And for those of you who don't do meat, you can get rennet that's vegetable based instead of animal based. So no problem there. We're almost done here, and then we're going to start draining off the whey and getting the curds formed into our cheese. And it's this time in the process, it's time to put on some gloves because we're going to be handling the cheese with our hands. So I just put on some cooking gloves here. I'm going to ask DirtFarmer Jay to come in here and help me separate this whey from the curds. And there we have it. Here we go. Okay, so you can see an enormous amount of liquid that has come out of that. That was all in the milk, and these are the milk solids. So now we're going to bring this cheese up to 135 degrees, and we're going to do that by putting it in the microwave. So I'm going to go back and forth here from the microwave to the counter and get this heated up. So we're going to start with 1 minute in the microwave, and then we will put the thermometer in and see what temperature we're at. Getting to 135 sometimes takes a few minutes, so we'll see how we do this time. All right, you can see that we've got more whey that will pour off. It'll continue to weep out in this process. We'll put the thermometer in there and see what we get. So now we're going to just sprinkle the salt in there and start to incorporate the salt. As you know, this cheese is about 135 degrees, so it's a little bit warm, which is one of the other good reasons to have your gloves on. So you can see that we're starting to get the mozzarella look now. You can stretch it out. You don't want to overwork the cheese, but you want to get it to where the proteins get nice and connected. And now you can see that nice, shiny mozzarella. And there we have it. Now you can form it into any type of a ball if you want to make big slices for a sandwich, or you can just put it into a tube, which is how I had the one I showed earlier. So you can just slice it for caprese salad or whatever it is you're going to do with it. And there you have it, your own mozzarella cheese. It will store in the fridge for about a week. You can store it by just wrapping it in some saran wrap, or if you would like to put a little bit of cooled whey, make sure it's cooled, in a Tupperware bowl, just a little bit in the bottom, just to give it a little liquid in there to keep it sort of moist and fresh. Stores either way perfectly. If you found this to be helpful, I hope that you will like the video and subscribe to our channel. And I'd love to hear comments from you about how your cheese turned out. And until next time, this is DirtFarmer Maggie.